Hi there. Well, it's supposed to be rainy today, but it is not quite yet raining on me, so I thought I'd come out here and do a winter garden tour. We are at the end of February, and yeah, there's not a lot going on in terms of me proactively doing things in the ground, but the infrastructure and the things that I put in the ground in the fall are there, and there's actually stuff going on in the garden. So let's take a look. Well, we had a major cold snap this last week. It got down into the 30s and at night even below the 30s. And so we'll be seeing around the garden how that's affected some of the plants that are in the ground here. Well, as you can see behind me here, the Brussels sprouts, which I put in last fall, where I actually put them in last summer. I was growing them up last summer. I put them in maybe September-ish in the ground with the hopes of getting Brussels sprouts in late fall, early winter. Never happened, never got my Brussels sprouts, and you can see they've taken quite a beating here. I have a feeling they'll come back, but will I ever actually get Brussels sprouts? Well, as you can see behind me here, our compost pile has gone wild. We've just been doing a lot of bush and tree trimming and piled all the brush here. And so I need to get the chipper out. You know, I have the little electric chipper. I don't really know if that's up to this job. I'm gonna try it for a little bit and remind myself kind of how long that takes. My recall and my intuition is that it takes too long for a job like this, and so this may mean that I need a new toy. Maybe I need a bigger, more powerful chipper. So the low light green bushes that I have here, those are feverfew. They're not bushes, flowers really, but they're a nice perennial. They've been a vigorous, easy growing plant for me. And then I've actually transplanted some of the traditional hyssop that I had growing in the regular garden beds. I wanted to get them out of there, and I transplanted them out here, and they've taken and they're growing in here. And then also what you'll see popping up here are the daffodils and tulips. Now, I'm a little bit concerned with the daffodils having come out so early because they started blooming. Some of these daffodils started blooming before a cold snap, and so I don't know if they can survive the cold after blooming like that. I guess we'll see soon here because we had the cold snap. It's still cold out here, but not as cold, and so we'll see if they can carry on from there. So one of the plants that you'll see behind me here with the big frilly leaves are the artichokes, and those artichokes have stayed in the ground and they have gone through the cold. They should survive. I've had artichokes die from intense cold, but I think these should survive. Well, behind me here are some of the veggie beds, and in particular, I think what I see in there that is of interest is a white Casper kale. It was something I planted last fall. I never saw it come out in its it's all of its kind of white leaf gloriness back then, but I'm seeing the kind of the white leaves come out now, so it's kind of interesting. Well, as I look back there to the fruit tree corridor, I kind of like how those beds under the fruit trees has turned out. That's looking good. I still haven't refinished the path in between them yet, but it's looking nice and neat and orderly. And that's, you know, you see a lot of videos. I see a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of discussion about permaculture and food forests, and I think that's super intriguing, very interesting. It's admirable what I see people doing, but that's not me. I like the highly structured environment, although you know, I guess one man's structure, one person's structure is another person's mess perhaps too. So maybe there's people who look at my garden and think it's not, it's a little bit disorganized or has a few too many weeds here and there, and I'm sure that's the case. But yeah, I am not a permaculturalist, food forest, kind of let things grow where they see fit best. I'm design it the way I want it and put it into nice rows and paths and things that make me feel good about the order of the universe that I'm creating, not letting the universe create order in me, sort of thing. But that's just me. Well, as we look along this row here, we see lots of tulips coming out of the ground, so that's exciting. You know, I've had a lot of tulip, what looks like way more tulip loss to things digging them out of the ground than I've ever seen before this year. I guess the vermin have figured out, the animals in the neighborhood have figured out that I've got bulbs over here, so they know where to come now. And some of the other beds have just been ravaged, but this one, you can see we got quite a few stems going on, so we're going to have a good tulip show, at least right here. Leeks, that's the main veggie that's actually still here and available to me in the garden. We could harvest a bunch of those. I'm hoping to actually harvest some of them later today and maybe cut them lengthwise and roast them. I was talking to my wife about that earlier. So yeah, hoping to work on that project later today. You know, it's just so hard. There's only so much time in the weekend, and it's like, get to do some stuff outside, do some seed planting, or do some cooking. What do I really want to do? So this bed behind me is what I call lilac row, because I've got several lilac trees back here, which will, you know, one time of the year they will bloom and they will look beautiful in there. And at their base, the green foliage that you see there, those are muscari. I've filled in, I had muscari bulbs planted on either side of this row, and I filled in the middle this last fall. So what I'm hoping for this spring is just a complete bed of purple all the way across this row. I think that's going to look cool and amazing. I've of course got some daffodils back there, and my one and only, you can see it like right there, my one and only crocus that is up at this point. So what you're seeing here in the veggies behind me is a mix of cabbages, Brussels sprouts, kale, basically brassicas that were put in late last summer, kind of September-ish, in the attempt to get kind of a fall harvest. I still haven't worked that timing out, so I wouldn't say that I had a spectacular fall garden, and I've kept them in the ground because they've just stayed, and hopefully while they didn't produce a spectacular fall garden, hopefully they will ultimately prove to produce an early spring garden as things warm up and they're already there and ready to do something, right? Well, that's it. I'm ending up over here by the greenhouse. Inside the greenhouse, nothing too interesting right now. I've got my onions in there that I've taken out of the basement nursery, and I've got the citrus that are just kind of holding on, surviving in there. You know, as I've said before in videos, my greenhouse is unheated. Without the sun here, it's pretty cold in there, almost just as cold as it is outside. And you know, for the citrus, it's not, the only thing it's doing is maybe keeping the wind chill off of them. But they're too big for me to haul down to the basement nursery. So this is the best I can do with that. But anyway, thank you for joining me here in the North Garden. And this is what it's looking like here in the winter. We'll see you all later.